and welcome back to Elements, the show that explores our world's elements like you've never seen them before. So we've looked into how fires start, but what happens when they end? We sent our crew down to spend the day with Lancashire Fire and Rescue Service, which is the training site for fire investigators. These are the first people on the scene, and it's their job to find out how the fire started and why. Let's see exactly how this is possible.
I'm Steve Andrews. I'm a lecturer in forensic fire investigation here at the University of Central Lancashire, and I'm a consultant fire investigator with Fire Investigations UK. At the Lancashire Fire and Rescue Service Fire Training Centre, we were doing full-scale furnished room fires for the purpose of teaching fire investigation practical skills to fire investigation officers. What we did in the two room burns was set up two realistic fire scenarios. So the first was a bed sit in which we had typical domestic furnishings which we set on fire using a realistic ignition source. We would let the fire grow to full involvement of the room. Thereafter, the fire investigation officers come into the room and they investigate the scene with the intention of determining the cause and origin of fire. We set the car fires, again for the same reason. We're teaching fire investigation students how to investigate car fires. So we set up in this case two different car fires, one to simulate deliberate burning of a car by an armed robbery gang. It's a getaway car that they've set on fire, and the other car we've set on fire to look like an accidental fire, and they have to learn how to spot the difference between a genuine accidental fire and one that's set up with the intention of trying to fund them. Car fires are generally straightforward to extinguish because they're generally small and confined, and the firefighter can put a hose reel jet into the car, generate a lot of steam very quickly, and knock down the fire in the inside. One of the two cars on this occasion, the steering wheel was made of a magnesium alloy. Now once the firefighter squirted water onto that, there was a chemical reaction between the water and the magnesium that made the magnesium fire burn even more intensely than it had before, with a bright white flame and lots of sparks. Window breakage in fires is very important from the point of view of fire investigation and indeed fire development. Windows typically break when the heat on one side of the window reaches a difference from the external temperature so great that you get shearing forces in the window and it causes it to break. You can also get window breakage when the temperature at the top of the window is much greater than the temperature at the bottom, and again you get stresses and shearing forces that cause the window to shatter. You have to be able to distinguish between breakage of window glass caused by the thermal effects of the fire and breakage of windows caused by somebody throwing something through it, such as a brick, a petrol bomb, something of that nature.
Now, the Lancashire Fire and Rescue Service are all too aware of the dangers of fire. In fact, the service runs a number of successful schemes aimed at educating young people about these dangers. One of the main schemes they run is called the Fire Intervention Response Education Scheme, or FIRES for short. This scheme is aimed at people between the ages of 4 and 17 who are involved in antisocial behaviour such as arson and hoax calls, or are suspected of playing with fire, mostly due to the child developing a fascination with the elements. To find out more about this and other schemes, visit our websites. It is rare nowadays to turn on the news and not see some form of violent protest or riot taking place. And with its ease of production, the petrol bomb seems to be many people's weapon of choice. To try and combat the use of petrol bombs, the Lancashire Fire and Rescue Service has been working to raise awareness of the dangers of using what is also known as the Molotov cocktail. Let's have a look.
The government of a comfortable majority and leaves it with a majority perhaps of as few as 4 or 5 MPs. That shows you the depth of opposition inside the Parliament, and then there's the opposition outside. Now, there have been very ugly scenes indeed this evening, all too familiar scenes really, as tens of thousands gathered on the square here in central Athens outside Parliament, many of them throwing petrol bombs at the riot police, who responded with several volleys of tear gas. There were flares thrown inside the security cordon around Parliament. Now, pouring rain has arrived and volleys of tear gas also, which has meant that the square has been largely cleared, and has also meant that I'm not able to speak to you in vision, unfortunately, because of that tear gas and because of the rain.
I saw you earlier on with the gas masks on with the tear gas swirling around in the air. 13.5 billion euros package which has got to be passed, and that is the next tranche of this loan agreement is dependent on that, isn't it, Mark? And if that doesn't come, when will Greece run out of money?
The aftermath of an attack on protesters in the Egyptian capital, which left at least 15 people injured. Tents and medical equipment were burnt as unknown attackers threw petrol bombs at the camp outside the presidential palace in Cairo. Witnesses say a makeshift medical clinic was burnt down.
2011, the Britain's superstructure collapsed. By midnight, it was clear that the police and the government had lost control. For one night at least, delinquent anarchy had proved more powerful than fellowship and bureaucracy. On Monday afternoon, the shock boarded up, it was clear that
Thanks for joining us, but that's all we've got time for this week. Join us next time when we'll be looking into another one of the world's fascinating elements.